Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've been looking after yourselves. Today is a very fun video that I have been looking forward to filming honestly since I started my channel. They are one of my favourite things to watch, and that is tier ranking all of the books that I have read in 2024. There'll be a couple of books missing that I'll finish at the end of the year, but it's still going to be 59 books worth of ranking, and I think that's going to make for a plenty long enough video and a lot of good things to yap about. I have my very trusty laptop right here and I'm going to walk you through all of the tiers that I've created. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers that the books could potentially be put into. I've intentionally tried not to look back over the titles beyond just getting the pictures, which honestly took forever, so you're welcome. I have my watermelon coconut water and we are just good to go. So we have here in the top ranking right here, we have Bury Me With Them. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. These are books that, honest to God, like tattoo them on my body. They are the best reads that I had of the year. No notes, bury me with them. They are honestly the best things to come out of 2024. Next on the list we have Spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. That is books that I think are just not quite God tier for me, but I still absolutely devoured them and I would read multiple of them, and they just were just shy of being the best books that I read. They're still phenomenal and I will 100% back them and recommend them, full stop, no questions. Then we have I Can See the Vision. That is like the third one down. This is potentially for the books that I can understand why people really like them, and I can see that there is definitely good content there, but they personally just weren't for me, or I just maybe read them at the wrong time and they didn't hit the way that I think they were meant to hit, but I can see that they are good books. I just personally didn't feel it. So I wanted to add that in there because below we have P's Get Degrees. Now, this is the one where I'm not 100% sure if that is a phrase that everyone might be familiar with. This is most certainly one that was used in university. P's Get Degrees is essentially like passes get degrees. Are these books really going above and beyond to become like the best thing you've ever read? No, but are they doing what they set out to do? Yeah, they're doing what they need to, but they're not exactly like wowing me. They're not staying with me. I'm not thinking about them really after I finished reading them, but they hold their own. They're doing enough to get through, and that's it. Then we start dropping into the less favorable tiers, and then we have I've read more enjoyable textbooks. Look, I don't love study. That is not something that I've ever claimed to enjoy, and I think that if I enjoyed a textbook more than I enjoyed some of these books, yeah, it's not a good sign for those books. It's not like a flat out DNF. I'm not regretting reading it. I just was bored. I think that's the bottom line of it. I was probably bored and I probably don't remember much about it. We then have You Couldn't Pay Me to Reread. That is pretty much like a 1 to 2 star. I finished the book, but there is absolutely no world that I would reread this voluntarily, and even if money was an incentive, I still probably wouldn't do it. And then we have straight up DNF. I did want to separate the books that I actually just didn't even finish because I don't think it's really fair, unless I actually have some serious issue with it. I don't think it's really fair to like rank a DNF because I didn't finish the book. So we have the straight up DNF category. So I've got all of the books, as you can see, got all of the books right there, and let's get straight into it. These are not in order from what I can see of like when I read them. So we're just going to start from the top, or I'll just pick at random. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, and we will just get straight into it. So let's go. My God, this is just like a trip down memory lane, just staring at all of that, being like, wow, that's my entire year of reading right in front of my eyes. That's crazy. Alrighty, where to start? Okay, we're gonna start with Nightbane and Skyshade. They're just at the top, so let's get into these. Nightbane, I read this only about a month ago, and I think P's Get Degrees is probably the best way to describe how I feel about this book. I enjoyed it probably a bit more when I was like fresh off reading it, but when I think back to the book, I don't really remember that many plot points, and I didn't rush through this book either. I just think that the world building is so shaky and so fragile and not fleshed out that it's not memorable. It kind of does enough for people to enjoy it as a fantasy, and I think it's a great entry fantasy book just because it's so easy to understand. But I don't think it really does anything whatsoever to necessarily wow me in the fantasy category whatsoever. Skyshade, on the other hand, I finished this a few days ago and I don't think you could pay me to reread this book. I really struggled to get through this and I almost DNF'd it. If I hadn't used my Audible credit, that would have been a DNF. It honestly would have been a DNF. It's bad, in my opinion. It's not good, and the fact that we are still extending this a further 2 books, nah, you couldn't pay me to continue the series, so we're not going to read that one again. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, or Poston. I think she says Poston, so I'm going to go Poston. Ashley Poston, The Dead Romantics. This is one of the books that I think falls into I can see the vision, because it is a true loved book by a lot of people, and I think that there is a lot there that I think people can really resonate with. Personally, it just didn't hit for me whatsoever. It wasn't a bad book. I think I rated it like a 3.25. It didn't connect with me at all, and I found the romance really quite unbelievable, which, I mean, obviously all of her books have a fantastic realism, or like, what's it called, sorry? Fantastic realism? Magical realism. There we go, Ainsley. Use your words. Magical realism element. So of course it's supposed to, like, you suspend some disbelief, but this felt like I was really trying to, like, force myself to feel something between these two characters that I honestly just couldn't. So I can see the vision and I can understand why people do love it. It just wasn't for me. So next up we have Eldest, which is the second book. Honestly, I should do the first one first. Let's go in order, Ainsley. We have Eragon, which technically is a reread for me for this year. I did actually read this when I was a teenager, but I'm going to say that Eragon is spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. I think that by itself, if it was just a standalone, it is a fairly solid YA fantasy, and I think there is a bit of nostalgia there for me, so that also plays into it, but I also then went ahead and continued to read the series, so I did actually say, spectacular, give me 14 of them. Like, I kept reading them, so I will also then go, Eldest is spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. I was really impressed with Eldest. I loved Eldest, which is book 2. I don't think it's a bury me with it, but it is my favourite of the series so far. I think it is a really, really well written series. I love it. And there should be the third book somewhere. Why can't I see it? Uprising, there we go. This one is also a spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. It was my least favourite so far in the series. I think it was just a little bit long, but I just think that the general series as a whole, I love. So I think they all just need to go in spectacular, give me 14 of them, because I can't wait to pick up the final book in the series. So let's go on to the next book, which is Done and Dusted. I don't know, this is the biggest surprise, I think, or not the biggest, but one of the biggest surprises of the year for my reading, was enjoying Done and Dusted as much as I did. I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't expecting to like this as much as I did. It's short and it's relatively fluffy, but I could really connect to the main characters, and I then proceeded to go and read the rest of the series, so it was 100% a spectacular, give me 14 of them right now, except, where are they? Miss Scusi, where are they? Oh, there we go, down the bottom. So we have Swift and Saddled, which I do need to put into P's categories. This was definitely my least favourite in the series. I do think that I don't know if it was just I couldn't connect quite as much to the characters. Wes was still wonderful, cinnamon roll, love him to death, but I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I did Done and Dusted. But then when I picked up Lost and Lassoed, spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. So freaking good. Not quite a level of bury me with it. It is not a god tier, but it's pretty, for what it is, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. If you haven't read the Rebel Blue Ranch series, I seriously back it. So I'm just putting it out there. Spectacular. Give me 14 from right now. Okay, here we go. The Diary of Blood by S.T. Gibson. That is a bury me with them book. Hands down, absolutely, I adore that book with nearly everything that I have. It is just one of the most phenomenal books that I read this year, and I want it to be buried with me. Oh my god, I still think about that book so regularly, and some of the quotes from that book so regularly. I love it. I adore it. Chef's kiss. Mwah, no notes. We've got the Natural series. So where is the very first one in it? Because I feel like that's going to be easier on my brain to... Okay, here we go. The Naturals. The first book is I Can See the Vision. I can see it setting its way up. It's setting up the series in a really good way, but it did feel very YA. You know how some YA books don't read very cheesy or like very, very, like, not immature. I don't want to say that it's immature, but it did kind of teeter on feeling quite immature. But I could see the vision. I could see what it was doing to get us like involved with the characters and to get us a bit connected. And I could see what it was doing. It set the scene. And then when we moved into not Bad Blood. What is the third one? It is, oh, Killer Instinct is the next one. Killer Instinct, that is where it started getting really good, and that is a spectacular give me 14 of them right now. I really, really liked that. And same with All In was phenomenal, and if we're ranking these, I haven't really been putting these in order, because if we're doing it in order, like, I don't know if I can do that. Yes, I can. Oh, she's a tech whiz. Okay, Eldest would technically be ahead of Lost and Lassoed. Lost and Lassoed is very close second though, and then I would say that we would be putting, ooh, probably Killer Instinct, Done and Dusted. So we're doing some housekeeping really quick. And then Eragon, Brisinger, or, I think maybe switch those. Yeah, switch those. Okay, I think that would be the order. But, yeah, Killer Instinct was great. It was dark. It was more than I was expecting for a YA, let's just say that. Like, it was definitely more than I was expecting, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And then we moved into All In, which honestly was unbelievable. I would put that right there. Sorry, my battery just really rudely died in the middle of my sentence, so I have no idea what I was just saying. I think I was talking about All In. Anyway, All In was phenomenal. It was phenomenal, and I do think that it was up there. It was up there with one of the best YA books that I read this year, for sure. And then we moved into Bad Blood. And I want to say that I can see the vision. It just didn't... I can see what she was trying to do. It was just a bit outlandish for me. Okay, I'm gonna not say anything else about that because it's like the ending of the series, and I still think that the series as a whole is phenomenal. I can see the vision. It was just, it for me personally felt like too crazy, too wild, too crazy. Okay, I shouldn't have to move or cut the cameras one more time. I just set the fan up because it is like humidity 100% today and I am dying. So let's go on to the next one. We have Binding 13. Ooh, okay. This is a, for me personally, this was not an immediate 5-star read. This was like a 4-ish star read. I did think that it was a little bit repetitive. So I'm going to put this in Spectacular, give me 14 of them because I'm really keen to start the rest of the series. I'm about to read Keeping 13 and I do think I'm going to fall in love with the series. That one wasn't like a knock them out of the park kind of a series, but I still think that it was phenomenal and I would definitely still recommend it to people. I just think it's going to be one of those series personally that I fall in love with more as I get into the series. So that's why it's not going to go and bury me with it. I would almost put it somewhere in between I Can See the Vision and Spectacular, give me 14 of them because I don't think it's quite on the same level as some of these top ranking books. But I think I would put it there. I think maybe even there. Oh, no. Yeah, above Eragon. I think Eragon is, yeah, okay, I think I'm happy with that. The Brothers Hawthorne. I think I'm going to go with P's to Get Degrees for this one. It wasn't my favourite. I think if I wasn't listening to it passively on audiobook, it didn't feel overly necessary, if I'm totally honest, but it delivered what it was wanting to deliver. It was wanting to give some backstory onto characters that we didn't know a lot about, and I think it did that. It just wasn't all that entertaining. Like, it was entertaining. What am I saying? It is entertaining. I just don't think it's overly necessary to read. So that's where I stand with that. So I think it's doing what it's meant to do. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was my favourite thing in the world. Okay, Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This was a very high up Spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. This was I rated it 5 stars, so you'd think it'd be a bury me with it, but I think I'm going to put it there. Yeah, Eldest is really, really impressive. That is why I can't think of another book yet that is going to top it in that category, but Final Offer is so great. I love it so much. I think that Callahan is such a beautiful, like, representation of character development in a romance without it being too heavy on either. I love it. I love the way that she handled that story, and yeah, Spectacular. I don't think it's a bury me with it. I don't think about it on a daily basis, but I definitely still look at it and go like, oh, I love that book. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's where it stands. Clara and the Sun. This was an interesting reading month. I remember the month that I read this, and I was not a fan whatsoever. You could not pay me to reread it. Actually, I'm going to put it in I've read in more enjoyable textbooks because there were some takeaways from it that I at least found intriguing, even if it frustrated me. And so I think that there are more enjoyable textbooks, but I don't think I would completely cast it aside and say you couldn't possibly pay me to reread it, because I'm sure there were some small, like, commentaries on society and humankind that there's still some intrigue in there, but I still only rated it like a 2-star. Like, don't get it twisted. It's not like I had a good time. I just think that there was still more to it than you couldn't possibly pay me to reread it. I would reread it and like dissect it a bit more if money was involved. DNF. Blood and Ash was a DNF for me. I didn't get past about 110 pages. Not a fan. Didn't like the writing, didn't like the world building. I didn't like much of it, to be completely honest, and I don't know if I'll ever. I actually sold my copy of it, so I don't think I'll be reading the series. Sorry! I'm not really sorry. Next we have Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and this one's an interesting one because there's nothing that I actually disliked about this book, but there's nothing that I loved about it either. So maybe I'm going to say I can see the vision. I can see the vision, and I'm going to put it... I actually think I enjoyed it more than The Dead Romantics, so let me put it above there. So I can see the vision. I think it is a really intriguing, insightful book at times, but I just don't think about it. I never think about it, and there were some elements of the story that kind of felt a little bit silly. I don't know if that's mean, but like it kind of felt a little bit silly. You're so far away, I just realised. Why am I so far away? There we go. Wait up. And then let me tilt it. Can it tilt it? There we go. Okay. Okay, we're a little bit closer. We're a little bit more up close and personal. I'm loving this. So, okay. Next is Lightlark. Lightlark is an interesting one because I didn't not have a good time reading it. I just don't think it's overly good. I just don't really think it's very good, and so I'm going to have to put it in I've read more enjoyable textbooks, but I liked it way more than Clara and the Sun. I would almost put it in the I can see the vision category. You know what? It actually makes a lot more sense if I put the I can see the vision. I'm just going to completely uproot everything. I feel like I can see the vision is, whoop, one too far, is actually below P's Get Degrees, because I feel like I can see the vision is like, I actually didn't personally think it was that great, but I can see why people did. P's Get Degrees is like, I actually quite enjoyed it. So I'm just going to dismantle everything that I just structured this entire thing about, and I'm going to put Lightlark in the I can see a vision. I can see it. I'm going to put it... This is pretty much last. I'm going to put it last in the I can see the vision category. Didn't love it. Didn't think it was that great. I thought it was a very shaky start to a series. So anyway, we'll move on from that. I think the series, I do have the third book in that series. Let's just do that right now. I already did Skyshade. What am I doing? Okay, never mind. Games Untold by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is another set of novellas, somewhat similar to The Brothers Hawthorne, and I kind of have similar feelings about it. It does what I think she wants it to do. It definitely wasn't an unpleasant read, but it also, it kind of just felt like a fully why do we need this? It was more enjoyable for sure than Brothers Hawthorne. I thought Brothers Hawthorne was way less engaging, but when I say way less, I still rated it at 3.25 or a 3.5. Games Untold is more like a 3.75. Like, there were some novellas that I really enjoyed and others that I kind of thought, can we wrap this up? I don't really care. So I think it's like, it's doing what it was intended to do. I think that there is nothing in there that I think felt ridiculous or boring, but it was not exactly the most engaging read I've ever read either. So I'm very excited for later books in this series, but that one was kind of a meh for me. The next one is Emily Wilde's. Emily Wilde's is Bury Me With Them. I truly adore this series so much, and it's the second one here. Yes, for some reason it has a different cover, but I have Bury Me With Them with both of them. I love them so much. Emily and Wendell truly do just hold such a special place for me, and I love the genre, and I love the story, and I love how cozy it is, and it's more than these. That's the thing. It holds a special place in my heart more than just Spectacular. Give me 14 of them. I adore these so much so that they have like a little special space on my shelf. So I love them. Bury Me With Them. Next we have the Book of Azrael. I'm going to put this in a very high spot. It might even be above Eldest of Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. I think it was a really, really interesting fantasy that I'm really glad that I've now started that series. Now I'm questioning myself. Yeah, no, I think that's right. I'm happy with it there. I really enjoyed it. I did think that it felt quite long, but it was extremely engaging, entertaining, and I can't wait to continue the series, but I'm not absolutely obsessed with it to the point that I would want to be buried with it, you know? It's not joining me in the casket, but it's still ranking high up in my ranks. So we're going with Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. One Dark Window, that is hard to split it and Two Twisted Crowns up, because Two Twisted Crowns is a bury me with it hard, like that's an easy bury me with that I just, one of my favourite reads of the year, and I almost feel like it would be cruel to split them up, so I feel like they kind of come as a twin, they come as a pair, they come as a pack. I don't really know if you can split, I mean you obviously can, but I feel like One Dark Window maybe was, okay, if I'm being real, I think that's my truth. That's my honest truth. I think it's a step up was Two Twisted Crowns personally, so I think that's how I'm going to rank it. I'm going to split them. I feel mean calling them in different categories. They can be long distance friends. I just think that One Dark Window, I waited for something to completely grab me and it didn't. There was something just missing. It was still so great and I loved the vibe and the atmosphere. I was just waiting. I was waiting, and I think I got that in Two Twisted Crowns, so I'm happy with that. Ooh, 1,000 Broken Pieces. Okay, I don't think that it's a bury me with it book, but I think it was a very phenomenal YA, so I think I'm going to put it there we go. I'm going to put it like halfway through Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. I think it was a beautiful story about healing and about the people that get left behind when tragedy strikes, and it was painful. It was so painful, and you really do have to be in the right mind frame to read that type of book, but I loved it. I thought it was so precious. There was just some very cringy moments that I can remember very vividly, going like, okay. But yeah, I think it's solid there. I think it's better than the first book personally. I think I actually enjoyed it better. That absolutely hurt. It hurts my soul to even look at that cover, because then I'm transported back to how much I cried during that book. We've got Hera, which is a Greek mythology retelling. I really enjoyed this. I did sometimes find that it was quite slow and the writing would be quite jarring and abrupt, and so I think that it is I'm tempted to either put it in P's Get Degrees, but at the top, right at the top, because I don't think it's like a Spectacular give me 14 of them. I feel like that is being it's representing that I loved it a little bit more than I actually did. I thought it was a really intriguing read. I read it as an advanced reader copy, and I think that, yeah, top of the P's Get Degrees. It was really impressive, but there were moments of it that I was like, okay, I'm just kind of ready for this to be wrapping up. It was a bit longer than I thought it was going to be, and yeah, anyway. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Let's just say that I've read more enjoyable textbooks. It was definitely better than why can't I switch that? There we go. It was definitely more enjoyable than Clara and the Sun. It was at least like entertaining, but I thought it was just kind of, I don't know, it felt very cringy in a lot of spaces, and I don't look back and go like, wow, I really enjoyed that book. I'm always just kind of like, yeah, it's very middle of the road. Almost, actually, you know what? I think what it is a very low ranking P's Get Degrees. I think it's doing what it was trying to be. It feels like a very Wattpaddy, bingeable, easy to read what's it called? Paranormal romance. And it was just like, it did what it was probably intending to do. I just personally didn't enjoy it, so let's go with that. The Greatest Game, however, Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. I loved this book. Loved it so much. I'm going to put it right there. Lost and Lassoed, I think it just like, it hit different. Oh, you know what? No, I think that's fair. There were some cringy moments in it, and I do think that like on an emotional level I wasn't necessarily engaged, but on an intellectual level and on a like, I need to know what's next, stay up to read it kind of a level, I was on the edge of my seat with that book. I love it. I love the Riddle Room-esque type of nature of these books, even if it makes me feel super dumb while I'm listening to it or reading it. I listened to the audiobook for quite a bit of that one. Loved it, and I thought the characters were really interesting in that one, and it left on the biggest cliffhanger. So I'm very excited for July of next year because we're getting part 2. But yeah, Spectacular, give me 14 of them right now, which she truly is giving us like 14 of the Inheritance Game series. Like, she is pumping these books out like crazy. One True Loves. I can see the vision, it just wasn't for me. I'm gonna put it there. It was, in my opinion, it had some serious strengths and some serious drawbacks for me personally, which I know is not the most popular opinion, but I did just find that the resolution was so quick. So quick, for the absolute insanity that was that situation and the emotional turmoil that these characters would have been going through. Everything was kind of wrapped up within a fortnight, not a fortnight, literally a long weekend. And that was what really lost me. I was like, everyone is far too okay with how unbelievably quickly everything is just being resolved in this like situation, and everyone is being way too understanding when their like entire relationships and lives are kind of being tossed around. I didn't love, there were elements of this I didn't love. So anyway, I can see the vision, I can see why people enjoyed it, I just personally had issues with it. We next have a short story which is only 29 pages, so very hard to put that up against a bunch of very long books, but truly this might be kind of crazy, but truly spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. I think it's gonna go there. That's crazy. 29 pages did more than half of that entire tier ranking thing. It is phenomenal. I don't know how much I can really say because it is only 29 pages, so I feel like so much of that will be a spoiler. But this is a fantasy short story about what it means to be honourable and to what we will do to deserve recognition, or to try and strive for recognition and to be seen and to be worshipped and to leave a legacy, and what it means to want to be validated and to deserve love. And it is just such a phenomenal concept that said so much in so little words. Like, truly it was phenomenal. Go on and give it a read. It's only like $2 on the the Kindle shop store, whatever it's called. So just go if you're bored and you have a spare 45 minutes, just go and read it. It's phenomenal. Okay. Next is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. And I can't even say that I would see the vision. I'm gonna say you probably couldn't pay me to reread it. It is that long, and that, now that I know how that story concludes, I feel frustrated whenever I think about it. So I think you couldn't pay me to reread it. It is kind of just a sore point, honestly, for such a anticipated release. And I'm not someone who even delved into the theories of everything. I didn't engage in all of that. I didn't follow people who were really trying to, you know, predict the entire storyline. I still found it underwhelming and very, very, not loophole-ish, but kind of just like lazy, almost. Like, it felt like we kind of just unearned the entire ending of that story without spoiling anything. So yeah, that is a, you probably couldn't pay me to read it, reread it, because it's so damn long. It's so damn long and the payoff is just not worth it. We have Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is probably one of my bury me with them. This was phenomenal on so many fronts. One of my favourite science fiction, if not my favourite science fiction book I've ever read. And I was hook, line and sinkered the entire audiobook because everyone recommended I read the audiobook of it. It was next level phenomenal, and I hope all of you read it. It is quite science heavy. You don't need to necessarily understand it. It just uses a lot of science jargon, but it is so good. The ending, I was crying, which, would you guess that for a science fiction book? Just, it was phenomenal. So yeah, bury me with that book. It was amazing. Yeah, look, Wildfire, I've read more enjoyable textbooks. I think what the bloody hell? Oh, okay. That, no worries. I didn't want you up anyway. Far out. What the hell is that? Yeah, look, I wouldn't say you couldn't pay me to reread it. It wasn't that offensive. It was just, boring. It was just kind of boring. More than anything, it was just boring. It was probably better than Clara and the Sun because it didn't frustrate me, but it was a little bit repetitive. it didn't do it for me personally. Oh, this one, Into the Dark, straight up to the top, and I haven't even been ranking these in terms of any particular order, but if I had to, I'm gonna go Into the Dark straight to the top. I think this potentially might be one of my best books that I've read hands down this year. Dowry of Blood, that all seems to check out. I think so. Potentially that would go in between them. I'm splitting them up once again. What am I doing that for? Easily, potentially the best book that I have read this year in the most heartbreaking yet healing way possible. I can't really say too much about it because it is like the 5th book in a series, but it was everything I was hoping it was going to possibly be and more. It was truly phenomenal. I don't know how Jessa does it, but she seems to outdo herself every single book. I'm yet to be disappointed with a release, like truly yet to be disappointed. I haven't read Never though, so, you know, never say never. Next is Emily Henry's Happy Place. This is a Bury Me With Them book once again. I think I would put it probably, let's go with there, I think? Yeah, let's go with there. It is potentially, it's on tie with Book Lovers as being one of my favourite Emily Henry books. I feel like little parts of me are just scattered within the characters of the entire Happy Place cast. I just see myself reflected in so many of their character traits, and it felt healing and heartbreaking to read at the same time because I could just very painfully relate to so many of the things that the characters were going through that it was like a therapy session as well as like exposure therapy at the same time. So yeah, that was one of the best books that I've read this year for sure. Twisted by Emily McIntyre. I forgot that I'd read this. Yeah, look, you couldn't pay me to read. Was it actually that? No, yeah, you couldn't pay me to reread it. I think House of Flame and Shadow can definitely go at the top there. Yeah, you couldn't pay me to reread that book. Twisted was such a non-event for me. Nothing about that book did anything for me, and I skim-read the last like 25% of it. No, I haven't really got anything to say about it. I really don't have anything to say about it. We have The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is a Bury Me With Them book. Very much so. I think it would go... Ooh. This is so hard. I don't know. This is subject to change depending on my mood and what I'm going through, okay? Bury Me With Them is not in any particular order, but that is definitely up there. I think maybe it's even above Happy Place. I can't tell. Those two are interchangeable. I don't know. But easily Bury Me With that book. That book made me cry. That made me laugh. And that book also has such a special place in my heart because I did a buddy read, or like we actually shared the physical copy quite literally around the world. So I have 2 American friends who I met through Booktok, and we annotated and then posted it to each other, and we did a round around the world with that book. And so yeah, it just, there are so many memories attached to that book, and it is so special, but I also think that the sentiments in the story and the messages that that book has is just, oh, it makes me just warm and fuzzy even thinking about it, so I love that book. Kristen Hannah the Nightingale, oh my gosh, okay, that's going straight up into probably 3rd place. That book is pain personified into a, like on paper, it was the most moving book, I would actually say, of the year. I cried, sobbed for on and off for a day or two. Just whenever I would think about it, it would just be on cue tears. And even if I think about that book for too long, I will start crying. So we're just going to place it and we're going to move on. But yeah, incredible, 5 stars, no notes. 6 stars actually, no notes. Next is Kiss the Sky and Addicted for Now. I think they're the only 2 that I read from that series this year. And I'm going to put Kiss the Sky in probably P's Get Degrees. I think that I enjoyed it more than some of the other books this series. I just haven't loved this series. It hasn't got me. And I'm probably gonna, I'll put it probably above Swift and Saddled even. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There we go. I enjoyed it. I feel like it does what it needs to do, but it just does, it's not winning me over. I don't know what it is about this series or the characters, but I'm just not connected. Addicted for Now, I don't really remember anything about this, so I'm gonna say that most of the time I was bored while I was reading that book. I'm gonna be totally honest, I was just waiting for it to be over. So we're gonna go with it was better than both of those, I won't lie. It was better than Wildfire, and it was better than Clara and the Sun. It just wasn't great, in my opinion. I'm not a fan. Ruthless Vows. That was the first book I read this year. I'm going to say that I can see the vision, I just don't think it personally was for me. I didn't love how the story played out, really. I think it was a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. I think it was just a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. I know that it's supposed to be a very, I don't want to say it's a high stakes, but it's not a very high action or a high threat feeling book. But there was something missing about it. The charm and the utter magic from the first book didn't quite translate for me into the second book while I was reading it. So I can see the vision and I can see why this would be 100% for certain people. It just wasn't what I was hoping for me. But I did still enjoy it. I did still enjoy it. So I think it would probably, you know what? I don't know why this is, let's go with that. Yeah, I think that's probably a better rate. Yeah, I think that's a better rating. Okay, next we have Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I'm going to say again, I can see the vision, but there were a lot of things about this one that frustrated me, but there was a lot of things about it that I really liked. So I think I'm going to put it in second there. There was something in particular that I can't say because it's a spoiler, but it pissed me off to no end. It pissed me off, and I think from there, the trajectory of the series has just slowly declined for me. I actually DNF'd the toll, which oh, there it is, yep, straight up DNF. I DNF'd the toll. I feel so conflicted because Scythe, which is the first book in the series, was such a 5-star read for me that this series has just been an all over the shop roller coaster. So yeah, I think I can see the vision for Thunderhead. I just think it derailed it a little bit, and then I just straight up DNF'd the toll. Medici Heist, unfortunately, was also another DNF that I haven't really talked about on any of my social platforms. It was an arc that I was so kindly given access to, and the premise was phenomenal. It was like a 1800s Renaissance heist. That's what I'm looking for, heist. And it literally has cameos of Michelangelo and all of these, you know, renowned, iconic people, and it was just so slow. I think I got to about 47%, and it felt like nothing other than sort of like the curation of the team had kind of happened, and even that was very, very slow, and I couldn't tell the difference between the point of views of any of the main characters. A lot of it was just, it was not working for me. When the Moon Hatched, right up top, it's going there. It's probably on par with Into the Dark. Can't really tell you which one I prefer. Again, it depends if I'm feeling like a romance, or I think I love them both equally for such different reasons because they are so unbelievably different. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Best fantasy I think I read all year. Love it to death. We've got Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being Love. That technically shouldn't be here because it is not a traditional book, so I feel kind of wrong putting it on there. I would be buried with it, but I'm not going to put it on there just because it's a fan fiction. So yeah, I'm just know that it's up there. Just to get it out of their way, it's up there. A novel love story. That is a spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. Up there. It was a solid read. I loved it. So much of it I loved. Third act breakup pissed me off to no end, and the start of it was really quite slow, but once we got into it, I loved it. It was so charming and I didn't want the book to end. So that's where it's going. If it just didn't have that goddamn third act breakup, I think it would have actually been a bury me with them situation. It was so frustrating. I really didn't like the way that she handled that. Phantasma. I can see the vision. I just didn't like the execution. I really didn't like the execution. So we're going to put it in there. I just thought that it ended up taking a turn from like a gothic fantasy trials, really intriguing, engaging like games sort of a situation to a very smutty dark romance that kind of just really, it literally lost the plot. Like I feel like the plot just went absolutely secondary. So wasn't in love with that. The game's got play, spectacular, give me 14 of them right now. I think that's gonna go probably, let's put it there. I didn't really care for the romance, but I loved the plot. The plot was great. So I think that it can go there. Maybe even, yeah, I think this needs to come down a little bit, I'll be honest. And then that can go, that's what I'm thinking. Oh no, bit above there. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I think the plot was phenomenal. It was so much fun. It's quite long for what it is. I mean, it is a fantasy, but it was quite long, but I loved the plot. I thought it was so smart. Immortal Dark. I don't know if it's quite a bury me with it. It's a dark academia vampire book that truly was really, really, really impressive, but I think it's going to go... Ooh, I think I might actually swap those two. I don't know why that matters so much to me, but I think, yeah, I think it's gonna go like that. Yeah, I think it's gonna go there. I don't know why I felt the need to rearrange that so much, but yeah, it is very impressive, don't get me wrong. Oh no, I think it's better. Oh, I don't know. Eldest and In A Mortal Dark are just very interchangeable to me personally, so that just also again depends what I'm thinking of and like what mood I'm in. So it is a very, very, very amazingly done enemies to lovers sort of situation. Like, it is phenomenal, and I think the lore and the world building was spectacular. It was one of the best debuts I think I've ever read. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Iron Flame. I read this so much later than everybody else. I'm gonna say that I can see the vision, but I think I enjoyed it more than other people did. I don't know if it was just because I didn't have the weight of it being a brand new release on my shoulders, but I did actually enjoy it more than other people, so I'm gonna probably put it there. It was still like I can see the vision. I just think that, I don't know, it kind of feels like a series that is, what would I call it, like junk food. I do not think this is a masterclass in how to write a fantasy story. I personally don't. I do think that the characters are kind of endearing, but it was frustrating at times, but it was entertaining at times. So do what you want with that. I just think that it was fun, but not necessarily quality. I also don't remember a great deal, and it is ridiculously long as well. Let me put that out there. It is ridiculously long. We also have, this is The Heartless Hunter, but The Crimson Moth for Australia and the UK. This was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. I think that it is a spectacular. I think it's going to be up there. I'm trying to figure out how far up. I think it's going to be, might even be there. Could even be there. Ooh. It's around there. I think that's where it's going to be. It is a lot of fun. I am so excited for the second book to come out in a few months' time, and I just think that the dynamic of a witch and a witch hunter and the way that it all sort of played out, I think I want to move it down a peg. Just, yeah, I think there we go. Oh, you know what? Okay, no, I'm lying. I'm lying to you. There we go. I'm putting it there just because it is a 4.55 star read for me. Like, don't get me wrong, it was really enjoyable, or 4.25 star. I just was wanting a little bit. I didn't like absolutely ride or die for the romance, but the ending definitely got me, and I am so intrigued for the second one. I just think that they are so much fun, and it's a well done romantasy. It's a well done romantasy, so no complaints here. The Order of Masks is a lot of fun as well. Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. A little less emotionally invested though, so I think I'm going to probably pop it. Let's put it there. Yeah, it's a bit lower down on the spectacular. Give me 14 right now, just because it's very politically heavy, and I think I love that about it. The intrigue is amazing, but it was a little slower, and I don't think about it super regularly, but it was really, really solid. Once again, debut as well, so like pop off for like debuts in 2024. That was a really, really fun read. Spectacular. You could not pay me to reread that. You could almost, because it's just so short and it's quick cash, but it's so bad. I'm sorry, but I had a rant. I think my most recent wrap up, I read it. It's bad. It's bad, kids. Personally, in my opinion, I think that the storyline and the plot line was not Christmassy. I think that there was some very grey area consent things there. Not a fan. The North Wind, I'm going to say I can see the vision, but it wasn't for me personally. I think it was better executed than those. There we go. I'll put it there. I can see the vision. It was just very, very, in my opinion, forgettable. It is a Beauty and the Beast and Hades and Persephone mashup. And yeah, I don't think about it ever. It is a story that I think it's the first one that I've ever read that I would really say resonates with feeling like ACOTAR, but just not as enjoyable. The characters were forgettable, and the storyline was a little forgettable. It was not offensive by any means. It was not frustrating or badly written. I just don't think it was anything that I particularly think stands out to me whatsoever. And then finally, A Song to Drown Rivers. Wow, this was one hell of a book. I need to put it up here with probably Bury Me With It. I'm only putting this, by the way, at the end just because it's technically not a rating. Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love is just its own. So just I'm not actually ranking it, it's just up there. But A Song to Drown Rivers was absolutely phenomenal, and I think that it is, it's up there. It's more memorable at times than, I think I would put it there. That book was heartbreaking. I think it was it's a retelling of a legend of Jishi, which is a Chinese mythology or legend, I believe. Phenomenal. Hands down phenomenal. For what it did in 300 pages was so incredible. So that's the list, guys. That's my year in reading in 2024. I think it's great that so many of them are in the top 2 categories, just because that just shows that, you know, I'm kind of getting a better idea of what I'm enjoying reading, being able to find and seek out books that I'm enjoying. I luckily didn't have too many books that really annoyed me, which is great. I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with my reading year as a whole, and I've got a couple of books this year that I'm so excited to get on the board as well. Like, oh, some of these I forgot I even read this year. So I hope that you have had fun watching me do this. It is so much fun if you want to do it yourself. It is actually pretty quick and easy if you go through Goodreads just to copy and save all of the book title covers and do this in your own time, just because it's a lot of fun to do. So yeah, let me know how you feel about this, if there are any that you would potentially put in a different tier ranking, or if you would, you know, move them around, or if any of these catch your eye and you want to try and read them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this isn't like a bajillion hours long, but I had so much fun with you. I cannot wait to make some more videos coming very soon, and I hope you're looking after yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon. Mwah.